Speech Night is a one-of-a-kind, biannual campus tradition established in 1971, making it the longest running event of its kind in the country.
All right, so let's get started. You get a means of connection between people or places in particular.
Public speaking is power.
You say things in different ways, it means things, and it means different things to different people.
But for us to be able to alleviate someone's misfortune, we have to first be able to listen to their problem.
Acquiring the skill of speaking before a group of people may be one of the most important.
Oh, there's a word to describe that feeling.
According to the Walt Disney Company, they currently operate from infinity to beyond.
Just comes a time when you have to stand up for your rights, and you have to stand up for what you believe, and you have to stand up for what's right.
And at the time, I just kept thinking, I was like, you got up here and you did what no one else could do. You got up here, you did what so many people were afraid to do. I was like, stop listening because you're already a winner.
First, would you send someone to prison to make yourself feel better? I probably would say no.
It was quite an event. I was not prepared to win, did not expect to win. It was a surprise and a good one. What you need to do is find a way to channel that nervousness into what you're doing, into your speaking, into your presentation. And I tried to remember that, and I guess it worked that night.
I mean, I was one of maybe 7 people who were, honored to give a speech at this amazing event in front of so many people, but it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of stress.
To bring this all to them, to make them feel like they're really a part of it. Thinking, what are you going to say to them?
Hello and welcome to the Speech Night, the end of the semester speech competition hosted by the Department of Communication Studies here at IU Indianapolis. My name is Alyssa Taylor and I'm the Student Director of the Speakers Lab Operations and Assistant Director of tonight's event. Before we get started, I have some information to share for you. First, this is the largest and longest running event of its kind. Try to enjoy it for the celebration it is. It is truly one of our school's traditions. Second, please feel free to take pictures tonight and upload them to the Speakers Lab Canvas site. If we are able to use them, we will give you photo credit. Third, later when you do vote, do not forget to take a picture of your judging sheet and a screenshot showing you actually voted. You'll need those to upload for your class assignment points. Now, let's take a moment to introduce your MC for tonight, Salsabil Kadora. Salsabil is the 107th speech contestant winner. So let's give her a round of applause and welcome your MC for tonight, Salsabil.
Hello, my name is Salsabil Kadura, and I'm super excited to be your MC for tonight. I'm honored to have been chosen as the winner of the 107th speech competition. I gave a speech about the American immigration system, a topic which deeply resonates with me and my family. I had the support of my professor, Joaquin Dorado Mariscal. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to participate on that night and for this one. Tonight, we'll watch the power of communication and speech unfold on this stage. Right now, I have the privilege of introducing the Department Chair of Communication Studies, Dr. Christine Karnick. Let's welcome Dr. Karnick to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. As she mentioned, I'm Dr. Christine Karnick. I'm the Department of Communication Studies Chair. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you public speaking scholars, friends, parents, colleagues, and guests to the 108th semi-annual speech night in this, our amazing venue, Madam Walker Theater. The Department of Communication Studies has held this event continually at the end of each fall and spring semester since 1971. It is the longest continuously running event on this campus. Over those years, we have heard wonderful and thoughtful speeches on a wide variety of topics at the forefront of social discourse. Tonight promises to be more of the same, an evening of great oratory in an amazing historic theater. Author and aviator Anne Morrow Lindbergh once wrote, quote, "Good communication is as stimulating as black coffee and just as hard to sleep after. I hope and expect that at the end of this competition, you'll be able to experience that sentiment. You're about to hear 7 of the best speeches from approximately 1,300 speeches of this type given this semester, created this spring. And to add to this excitement, you, of course, get to participate in the evaluation process. A great deal rides on the decisions you're going to make as you listen to these speakers. The winner of tonight's competition takes home not only a beautiful trophy, plaque, bragging rights, a nice resume line, but also a $2,000 scholarship. So listen carefully and choose wisely. Before we get started, I want to take just a minute to thank the people who have made this night possible. First, your instructors. Thank you to all of our wonderful R110 instructors. Your efforts are truly and genuinely appreciated. Next, thank you to the R110 leadership team who keep this course running smoothly by coordinating roughly 120 classes and 3,500 students, and who have made this evening possible. Most importantly, course director Angela Sisson also. Thank you to our Speakers Lab mentors and technical crew filming the event. And finally, our event MC and winner of last year's speech night, Salsabil Kadura. And finally, I want to thank and commend you, scholars, R110 students, for making a valuable investment in your future by completing this course. Engaging in smart, clear, informed, and oral communication is a gift that you will use throughout your lives. The skills you've acquired will help you professionally and personally regardless of your major. However, for those of you who have not yet committed to a major, might I suggest communication? I'm a bit biased. A communication degree can provide you with knowledge and a set of skills that are critical to organizations and transferable between organizations and even careers. Don't believe me? Look at sought-after majors and skills listed on Indeed and Career Builder. I guarantee you'll be surprised at how often you'll see communication studies. Another possibility you might want to consider is a BA in Applied Theater, Film, and Television, which is located within communication studies. If you have an interest in either theater, film and television studies, or media production, this degree will give you a great head start in these fields. And finally, even if you've already chosen another major, and congratulations for doing that, you may want to consider one of our minors. We offer 6, including organizational and corporate communication, media arts and production, health communication, persuasion, theater, film studies. If you look up soft skills that employers look for in potential employees on Indeed, here's what you'll see near the top of the list: communication skills. Quote, good communication involves listening and observing as well as talking. Candidates must not only be articulate, they must also be able to see beyond the spoken word and notice questionable behaviors and patterns. Employees with expert communication abilities can mitigate a problem before it becomes a crisis, fostering collaborative solutions when they're needed most. Monster.com echoes this sentiment, adding, if you can clearly express the who, what, when, where, and why of how a project, you'll be a hot ticket. And their advice on how to gain that skill? Take public speaking. Congratulations to you. You've already done that. So don't throw away what you've learned this semester. Keep that material close by. Remember what a good introduction looks like, what it should accomplish. Remember how an oral argument should be structured, how to transition between points, and how to summarize for the listener so that they know what to take away from your words. You've been provided a great framework through which to communicate your ideas when you leave here and leave the university. Use it. You'll be very glad you did. Thank you. And now I will turn this back over to Sasabil. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karnick. And now let's get ready for tonight's competition. Before we bring our first speaker to the stage, I want to take a few moments to review the judging and voting process with each of you. You all should have received a paper tonight that includes the event agenda, the names of the contestants, and a section with a QR code for both the program and voting links. If you did not receive this paper, you can view this digitally on the Speakers Lab Canvas site. It's under announcements. On the judging sheet, there is a place for you to score each contestant on a variety of categories, including the proper Monroe format, citations, and speech delivery. We ask that you score fairly and consistently. Please make sure you are judging based on the same criteria for each contestant. After all 7 contestants have given their speech, you will vote by ranking the contestants from 1st to 7th place. When it is time to vote, you will use your phone camera and scan the QR code. In that Google form, you will then rank the contestants, 1 being the best. If you do not remember the order of the speakers, you can review the event agenda and see the contestants' speech titles in order there. Once the scores are calculated and the time penalties are put into place, we will announce second runner-up, first runner-up, and our 108th Speech Night competition winner. Now, let's meet the 108th Speech Night contestants. Our first contestant is Tinya Oyatobo, a freshman majoring in computer science with a minor in business. After college, she aspires to become a successful cybersecurity analyst. When she's not working on her latest code, you likely find her experimenting with a new recipe in the kitchen. Representing Professor Vincent Falia, Tina will be presenting her speech dedicated to those of you who truly do not use ChatGPT and never have, titled Why Ban AI Companion? Let's give it up for Tina.
All right. Okay. So imagine this. This is you. It's 11 p.m. You're stuck on a difficult math problem. Your exam is tomorrow morning. You've already spent hours on YouTube, Google, and even Reddit. But nothing is helping. You're stressed, confused, and anxious. This exam is the only thing that can save your grade in that math class. Then, you message an AI tutor like ChatGPT, and within seconds, you have a clear and easy to understand answer. This relieves your stress and boosts your confidence for the exam. Now, imagine banning this tool in education. Is that really the best choice? Artificial intelligence has rapidly entered our lives, from voice assistants like Siri and Alexa to social media algorithms. My name is Iniolu Oyatobo. You can call me Tina. And as a student at IU Indianapolis, I've experienced how AI can support our education and not sabotage it. Unfortunately, not many schools see it this way. In a survey conducted by the Edwick Research Center, like we can see in the pie chart above, 20% of schools have limited AI use to teacher only, and 7% have banned the use by teachers and students. Many educators believe that this tool encourages cheating, reduces critical thinking, and undermines traditional learning. But I believe the opposite. Now, this isn't just some scenario I came up with while prepping for this speech. It's real. I've lived it. I've been stuck, confused, and anxious, and then saved by a tool that gave me clarity where no human could. Instead of banning AI, I believe schools should implement responsible AI integration, teaching students how to use it ethically and effectively. Because when used correctly, AI can enhance learning, improve accessibility, and prepare students for a tech-driven future. So today I'm standing here to tell you that banning AI is going to cause more harm than good. So let's be real. Raise your hand if you have ever been told to not do something, but still went back to doing it anyways. Exactly. Students will use AI regardless of bans. History has shown that banning tech does not stop students from using it. We found ways around smartphone bans, and I assure you that we'll do the same with AI. Trevor Moore said it best. Students will find a way to use AI to write papers for them. Whether you like it or not, people will take the shortcut. So if we're going to use it anyways, why not teach us the right way to use it? Banning AI will also limit learning opportunities. AI helps students write better, learn better, and solve problems. AI tools like Grammarly offers writing assistance that help students, faculty, and staff to become effective communicators. Now, not every student learns the same way. At least I know I don't. I'm a visual learner. And sometimes when you try to talk to me for 90 minutes straight, my brain clocks out at the 10th minute. Most students struggle with the traditional learning method. And AI can provide customized explanations based on every single person's learning style. In my case, it can generate charts, visuals, and simple explanations, giving me a chance to grasp what I had missed in class, making learning a better experience for me. So why take that away? The job market is also changing. AI is being integrated into almost every job sector: business, medicine, finance, even farming. And according to an article by the National Fund for Workforce Solutions, the transformation of the workplace by AI has increased the demand for skills that complement these new technologies. So if schools truly aim to prepare us for the future, banning AI actually sends the wrong message. Now here's the part that excites me the most. The people that created AI tools, they were once students, just like you and I. So if we as students are given the right tools and guidance, imagine what we could create if something as big as AI could be created. We could give solutions to real-world problems like housing shortages, healthcare, and even food insecurity. So instead of frowning at AI, instead of treating AI as an enemy, what if educators implemented it with structure? And I believe the first thing that should be done is AI literacy. Students need to be taught how AI works, its strengths, and its limitations. Because if the US Secretary of Education can go on live TV and tell people to teach students how to use A1 instead of AI, like, ma'am, are we cooking or are we coding? This isn't about steak sauce. It's about our future. And California is leading the way. Recently, September 29, 2024, California Governor Gavin Newsom recently mandated that AI literacy courses be included in the state's curriculum. So this is the future. Why not start now? Teachers should also use AI as an educational assistant, rather than undermining traditional learning. According to an article by Lexia, AI can play a big role in lessening teachers' workload, giving them more time to dedicate to the essential parts of their workforce, of their profession. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking AI to replace teachers, because no robot can replicate the feeling of a teacher who looks you in the eye and says, I believe in you. So let teachers teach, and let AI assist. Now, this isn't just some far-off futuristic idea. It's already happening. It is said that charity begins at home, and IU is at the forefront of this change. In my CSCI class, my professor uses an AI-powered platform called Socrative that comes up with questions in regards to the topic discussed in class that day. This also marks the attendance of students in the class. It's smart, it's efficient, so why not? According to IU Bloomington website, we as students are encouraged to apply this emerging technology to our job search. This is the future. Why not start now? Now, there's so much to talk about AI's role in our education today, but my time is limited. However, one thing is clear. Banning AI is not the answer. So if you believe in this change, if you believe we should work with and not against AI, scan the QR code on the screen and join me in signing a petition to bring responsible AI integration into more schools. AI is not the enemy. The ignorance of AI is. Educators need to stop treating AI as the enemy and start embracing it. We have moved from chalkboards to smartboards. It's time to let go of the millennial one-size-fits-all educational system. It's time to embrace something better, something smarter, an educational system that works for every single one of us. It's time to embrace the future. Thank you.
Up next, we have Kate Breeding. Kate is a freshman majoring in elementary education with a minor in psychology. She plans to put her degrees to use as an education liaison at a children's hospital. When she's not studying, you can find Kate reading, writing, or spending time with her family. Fun fact, Kate has a fraternal twin sister. Representing Professor Ernest Agorde, Kate will be delivering her speech titled The Change, The Rights of Students with Special Needs. Let's give it up for Katie.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kate Breeding, and I'm a freshman here at IU Indianapolis. And tonight, I wanted to share with you all a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I like to refer to this topic as the change, the rights of students with special needs. According to a study done by the National Center for Education Statistics, roughly 7.5 million students aged 3 to 21 years old in the United States received special education services as of the 2022 to 2023 school year. This translates to roughly 15% of all students nationwide who receive these services. In our home state of Indiana, roughly 18% of students receive these same services in the same school year. That seems like a large number, right? Well, what if I told you that over a third of these students mentioned in the statistics face abuse within their school environments? Trauma has been caused, death has been caused. According to an article done by Dr. Schwartz, one student was held down by his teacher and ended up succumbing to suffocation as a result. Others have been handcuffed, thrown into timeout rooms, and are repeatedly belittled by their adult educators. This topic resonates on a personal level with me. Meet Sam. Sam and I met my senior year of high school when I had the amazing opportunity to be his peer mentor. Not only was I able to help him within his education, but him and I had a personal bond. The pictures that you see on the screen are a few of the many fun times that him and I have had together. So in order to achieve the change, I've broken it down into 4 essential steps. First, we need to recognize the need of advocacy and rights for these students with special needs. Next, we need a solution to this need, and that is creating healthier and more sustainable classroom environments within our life skills classrooms. Next is the outcome of this solution. Students will feel safer and more comfortable within their learning environments if we implement this solution and the need. Next is the action. Keeping up to date with laws regarding special education on both a national and local level will help us end discrimination against these students. I wanted to bring you into the need by providing some real-world events that have happened. This event here happened in Brownsburg, Indiana, just 25 miles west of here. This is Sarah Seymour and this is Deborah Knipe, the 2 individuals involved in this case. Both Seymour and Knipe were accused of forcing a student with special needs to consume his own vomit. I want that to really resonate with you all. The one place where this student should have felt safe, he was forced to commit this heinous act by 2 individuals that he should have trusted. This incident happened on February 16th, 2023. However, it was not reported to the principal of Brown Elementary until 56 days after it occurred, on April 17th, 2023. Now, both Seymour and Knipe did have their teaching license revoked effective June 2023, but I really want to emphasize on the amount of time that this child was forced to spend with these 2 harmful educators. And this really highlights the detriment of these harmful educators, the detriment that they are having on these students, and why we need to remove them. Here's yet another example right here in Indiana of the harsh treatment that students with special needs face. This event actually just happened last month. An educator at an elementary school in Elkhart, Indiana resigned after accusations of mistreatment of a student with special needs. According to attorneys from the student's family, this child was repeatedly put in a headlock and was regularly removed of his communicative devices, which was his tablet. Multiple specific examples of abuse were reported, and this is one of a few. Our second step, making a plan for a solution. Having a more rigorous hiring process for these educators, specifically within life skills, is essential in order to achieve this change. The top mistake, according to an article on LinkedIn, that districts make when hiring is rushing the hiring process. We're all aware of the national teacher shortage, and we're aware that schools are more concerned about filling these roles rather than putting in qualified educators. This quote right here is a very important ideology that's present within education, however, it is often overlooked. It's the difference between choosing the best candidate and settling for someone who will do for now. The third step is the outcome. When we implement these healthy educators within our school systems, we get the four essential traits of a special education educator. According to verywellmindset.com, that's patience, creativity, empathy, and organization. If we implement patience within these classrooms, students will have a more safer and a more enhanced learning experience. Especially within the field of special education, students have a wide varying cases of needs. And sometimes these students need extra time or extra accommodations in order to enhance their learning journeys. Next is creativity. When these educators make learning more fun and engaging for students, it overall makes them feel more comfortable within their learning environments. Then there's empathy. Empathy is arguably one of the most important traits that a special education teacher can have. Having empathy when dealing with all of these different cases of students that you come across, it's very important to have empathy in order to resonate with students and make them feel safer within their school environments. Then there's organization. When you establish consistency and routine within these classrooms, it will overall enhance these students' learning journeys. Fourth step, the action. What can we do to achieve this change? You'll see a QR code up here. If you scan this QR code, you'll be taken to the Special Education Rights and Responsibilities page for both educators and students. Keeping up to date on laws revolving around special education on both a national and local level will help bring awareness to the discrimination that these students face. Keeping up with your local school district is also a good way to achieve the change. Attending local school board meetings, sending letters to your local admin, and also just demanding action for these students is a great way to get started. Now that I'm at the conclusion of this speech, I wanted to leave some questions in all of your guys' minds. What do you think of when you hear the change? Do you think about the thousands of students that face mistreatment and harsh conditions within their classrooms on a daily basis? Do you think about the student that was forced to consume his own vomit? Do you think about the student that was forced to be put in a headlock each and every day by the people who he was supposed to feel safe around? Do you think about someone you know personally? I personally think about Sam, and I wonder daily about any sort of abuse or mistreatment that he may be facing within his own life skills classroom. Do you think about how you will join in on the fight to achieve the change? Will you attend local school board meetings? Will you send letters to your local admin? Will you demand action for these students and ensure that they have advocacy? Thank you, everyone.
Our third contestant for the night is Chelsea Moran. Chelsea is a freshman majoring in nursing. She plans to work as a registered nurse in labor and delivery and aspires to be a mother someday. When not preparing to be a nurse, Chelsea spends her time sewing, baking sourdough, and hanging out with her friends and family. With the fun fact of the night, Chelsea was born on April Fool's Day. I'm sorry about that, Chelsea. But she's not here to prank us. Tonight, representing Professor Ernest Agorde, Chelsea will be delivering her speech titled A Case Against Maid. Let's give it up for Chelsea. You got this. Take it away.
Every 11 minutes in the US, there is a person who commits suicide. This staggering statistic from the CDC is a sign of our times. It shows how isolated we've become, how chained to technology we are, and how we're falling into despair. Many of you in the audience have likely felt the effects of suicide, whether directly or indirectly. I myself know of people in my spheres who have committed suicide and how unbelievably painful it is for the families and for the knowledge that this person was fighting a battle and feeling completely alone in it. With this, I will ask one question. If suicide is so shockingly devastating, why are we making it legal in our healthcare system? As a future nursing student here at IU Indianapolis, I have wrestled with the direction of healthcare in America. Currently, in several states, there is a debate going on over the topic of MAID, or medical aid in dying. MAID is the silent killer of a generation's suffering. It seeks to normalize suicide, which brings profound pain to all parties. Now, medical aid in dying is really a euphemism for what can more properly be referred to as physician-assisted suicide, because it is not aid for the patients, but a voluntary request from a patient to a doctor to end their own life. This form of euthanasia, therefore, is voluntary, because the patients must administer the lethal drugs to themselves, either orally or intravenously. This is separate from what is currently legal in European countries and being expanded in Canada and the UK, where they have direct euthanasia. However, in the US, it is still voluntary euthanasia. So in 1997, Oregon was the first state to legalize MAID in the US, according to Death with Dignity, which is a pro-MAID organization. 9 other states followed, as well as the District of Columbia. As you can see here in this map from Axios, Indiana is currently in the stage of pending legislation. Just this year, on January 8th, there was a bill introduced in the Indiana General Assembly, and it is House Bill 1011, the End of Life Options Bill. It seeks to bring the same legalization of MAID from other states to the state of Indiana. And tonight, I want to share with you why we must oppose this bill in order to save Hoosiers. Now, with this, their legislation has 4 major requirements that the patients must meet in order to be approved for MAID. Now, the American Bar Association tells us that you must first be an adult resident in a state where MAID is legal. However, the median age for this practice is 74, according to the Journal of American Geriatric Society, which means that this primarily affects the baby boomer generation currently. You must be terminally ill with about 6 months to live and have the mental capacity to make this decision. Now, this third point is very debatable, as depression and anxiety are likely to come with despair. Lastly, one must give informed consent twice, and it is their decision to go through with it in the end if they so choose. As I stated before, these requirements are not universal. And we go to the Netherlands for the story of Zaraya Terbeek. She was a 29-year-old Dutch woman who died last year on May 22nd due to euthanasia. And Professor Khalid from Brown University tells us that the grounds for her decision were not terminal illness or physical illness, but mental illness. She was diagnosed with autism, borderline personality disorder, had a long battle with depression, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. Her psychiatrist reportedly told her, "There's nothing more we can do for you. It's never going to get better." And I cannot imagine a medical practitioner speaking to their patient who is in such a vulnerable state in this way. There's something that strikes me as so deeply sad and inhumane about this story, as it was not just an individual decision, but something that affected her, her partner, as you can see in this photo, and the doctors involved. Now, moving further to the clinician side, all doctors must take an oath before they practice. And this Latin phrase is born out of the original Hippocratic oath, and it is primum non nocere, meaning first, do no harm. Doctors must first assess the risks that will come to their patient were they to medically intervene in any way. And the original Hippocratic oath goes deeper to say, "I will neither give a deadly drug to anybody who asked for it, nor will I make a suggestion to this effect." Both these oaths show that euthanasia of any kind is directly contrary to the physician's role as a healer, as stated in an opinion piece from the American Medical Association. Now, as the US continues to progress in more advanced medical care, we are able to give better palliative or end-of-life care for those suffering. And there are actually numerous stories of patients outliving their predicted lifespans that the doctors give them when they arbitrarily draw the lines at 6 months, you only have 3 months to live. Dr. Comrade in the Psychiatric Times helps us understand this better by saying assisted suicide does not aid in the dying process. It terminates the dying process by terminating the patient. We cannot base this decision, which is designed to result in the patient's death, on a physician's diagnostic guess. If we believe murder is wrong, we must oppose assisted suicide. Our founders wrote that we have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you were to see a student your age about to jump off a bridge, what would you do? Would you turn a blind eye? Would you say that's just their individual decision and walk away? No, you would do what you could to save them. A hard truth we must learn through life is that life is worth living even in suffering. And this point is very weighty because these patients deal with profound pain that I cannot imagine. Many of them are cancer patients and have illnesses that are breaking down their bodies from the inside. However, this is simply not a justification for assisted suicide. We all deal with pain of varying degrees as part of the human experience, yet would you agree that your life still has meaning even in suffering? Stephanie Gray Connors, in her talk on this subject, credits Dr. Viktor Frankl with this quote, "Despair is suffering without meaning." Now, Dr. Frankl wasn't just any psychiatrist, but he was a victim of the Holocaust in the 1940s. He went from concentration camp to concentration camp, all the way up to Auschwitz, along the way losing his wife, his mother, and his father. He experienced deep grief, yet as he observed the captives in the camps around him, he came to the conclusion that those who found meaning in their lives, though they were not absent from suffering, were more likely to survive. Another justification for this practice is that it is not very common in the US, with just about 5,000 deaths in the last 23 years, again from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. But this is a very slippery slope and weak argument, because as this becomes more ratified into US law, the deaths will continue to increase as the trend you see here. So this is why we must oppose House Bill 1011. Let's oppose this all the way at the local level and take it up to the Supreme Court to abolish MAID in the US. And why is that? To protect the lives of the vulnerable, to save our sick and elderly from falling into this despair. Let's save the sick and elderly from falling prey to this practice so we can restore the doctors as the healers and not the harmers of their story. So what can you do? Representative Matt Pierce was the man who authored this bill in the Indiana General Assembly, and I encourage you to contact him directly. Let's be active participants in democracy and tell Indiana what we want legal, as our tax dollars go directly to supporting these efforts. Additionally, you can petition your own representative here by scanning the QR and putting in your zip code so you can see who represents your district and show them that you oppose this legislation. Now, finally, if you are struggling with thoughts of ending your own life, I encourage you to not isolate yourself. Know that we have counseling here on campus as well as many resources through Indiana. Please link arms with someone you trust. And finally, my fellow students, I urge you to not stand by while the vulnerable of our society fall into despair, but rather be a generation that fights for them so they can live to see another day. Thank you very much.
Three fabulous speeches down, 4 more to go. Our fourth contestant for the night is Samuel Jones. Samuel is majoring in biomedical informatics and minoring in music. Samuel aspires to become a biostatistician, a job almost as hard to do as it is to pronounce. When he's not studying to be a biomagician, you can find Samuel playing volleyball, listening to music, or playing games. Samuel can play the piano and guitar, and he can sing. Unfortunately, Sam will not be singing for us tonight, but representing Dr. Angela Sisson, he will be presenting his speech titled Executive Erasure. Let's give it up for Samuel.
Hello, I do wish I could sing for you guys tonight, but I don't think that's gonna happen here, so. All right. I wanna start off by saying this speech does cover some intense topics, such as suicide, so if that is a sensitive subject for you, feel free to leave, that is okay. I wanna start off by saying, I think we have to go to the next one. There we go. I wanna start off by saying that people that identify as transgender experience rates of suicidal ideation as well as suicide at a much higher rate than the national average. Whether you are transgender or not, it is very likely that you know somebody who is transgender. While I myself do not identify as a transgender individual, I know and I have seen how anti-trans laws recently have impacted people in my own family and some of my closest friends, and it is heartbreaking. I'm here today to talk about Executive Order 14187, recently passed by this presidency in January. Executive Order 14187 states that the US government is no longer going to aid or promote any sort of gender-affirming care in the United States and will actively try to prevent it. It also uses offensive, harmful language such as mutilation, maiming, and calling transgenderism a stain on national history. This is an offensive document and hurtful for millions and millions of individuals, and it needs to be revoked as soon as possible. With trans youth at already such a high risk compared to the national average, federal support for gender-affirming care needs to be re-implemented as soon as possible. Limiting this access is only going to put this already vulnerable population at an even higher risk. Imagine waking up unhappy in your own skin, not knowing what to do, feeling unhappy every single day. Unfortunately, because of what is known as gender dysphoria, this is the case for millions of individuals. Gender dysphoria is defined by Oxford Dictionary as a state of severe distress or unhappiness caused by a feeling that one's current gender does not align with their assigned birth sex. Some people try to argue this, but being transgender is not a decision. It is not about wanting to stand out, but rather it's about wanting to fit in, fitting into your own body. According to the UCLA Williams Institute, 1.6% of Americans identify as transgender. This sounds like a small percentage, just one. This comes out to 5.5 million people, which is comparable to the amount of natural redheads living in the United States, just to give you a little bit of perspective. So clearly, this is not some small issue affecting 1 or 2 people in your city. This is affecting 5 million people every single day. This care, gender-affirming care, is necessary because of obviously the huge number of people that are at risk. According to the National Institute of Health, people that identify as transgender experience suicidal ideation and commit suicide up to 50% more than the national average. National negative reactions and anticipations towards their gender have been shown to be a large factor in this. The government should care about its citizens. That should be its top priority, but clearly this presidency, what has been going on, that is not where the focus is in our government right now. Now, I want to talk about how this can be addressed. Excuse me. An executive order can be reversed in one of three ways. The first way is presidentially. This is unlikely because the president is very unlikely to go against his own order that he made recently. So that's pretty much off the table. The next one is congressionally. This is also unlikely because, unfortunately, Congress is in majority agreement with the president. The last way is judicially. This leaves it up to any state or federal judge to decide that this order is unconstitutional or that the president lacks the executive power to make this call. From there, they can freeze it, take it up to the Supreme Court, and hopefully get it reversed. But in my opinion, just reversing it's not going to do enough, because who knows what could happen after that. I believe the government should start funding this medically necessary gender-affirming care, such as puberty blockers, top and bottom surgery, and HRT. They have been proven to be safe, effective, and to reduce rates of suicide as well as suicidal ideation within the trans community. For people that are interested about things such as the national budget, concerned this would make a large impact, a negative impact on the budget, there are other ways the government can attack this problem. That is social affirmation. Social affirmation includes things like gender-inclusive signage, adopting appropriate names and pronouns, as well as legally, officially recognizing the existence of trans people, which is not what is true in our country at this moment. These small efforts would help, because according to the Trevor Project, 9 out of 10 LGBTQ+ youth have recently said that recent legislation has taken a negative impact or toll on their mental health. To me, this squashes any concern that these efforts would be a waste. We can see that this huge population, these millions of innocent, vulnerable individuals are suffering because of this. So why should the government not do it? Should that not be the government's top concern, the well-being of its citizens? It makes no sense. Now, I want to talk about how these changes would benefit the trans community as well as the US as a whole. Gender-affirming care is the primary way that most transgender youth can find solace and improve their mental health. By implementing support for this care, millions of lives are going to be bettered, something that should obviously be a top priority for the government. A study by the University of Washington showed that trans youth ages 13 through 20 with access to things such as puberty blockers and hormone treatment were associated with 60% less rates of moderate to severe depression, which is a very common precursor for things such as suicide, as well as suicidal ideation. To me, this makes it so easy to justify these potential government actions. According to the Trevor Project again, trans people are very likely to move out of their own state to another state that is more accepting towards their identity, which makes sense. However, if a state changes their policies, becomes more accepting for trans individuals, and gives more accessible, affirming care, people are going to be more inclined to stay in their state, which is going to inadvertently raise state GDP. It's going to foster more welcoming, warm communities. It's going to strengthen local educational and government systems. I want to talk about how we can fight for this cause. There are very easy ways. The first one is through reputable donations, such as through the Trevor Project or the Global Action for Trans Equalities. These QR codes, if you scan them, you can donate. Even $1 helps. The next way is to be kind. This is how we start a warm, welcome, embracing community. Be kind to your neighbor. Nobody knows what each other are going through. That's how you start a warm community. Through rescinding Executive Order 14187 and implementing accessible gender-affirming care for the United States citizens, the government can better the lives of millions and millions of individuals, as well as contribute to a more cohesive, productive, and overall loving society. I just want you guys to remember that change starts with one person. But if you look to your left, if you look to your right, you can even look up here. There's not just one person here. If everybody does something, that's a cause, and that's a movement. Thank you.
Up next, we have Oluwasola Lasaki. Oluwasola is a freshman majoring in law and liberal arts with a minor in global and international studies. She aspires to go to law school and loves to play soccer and write poems in her free time. She's our second contestant tonight that has a fraternal twin, which for Oluwasola is a testament that she has been resolving conflict since the womb. The Elle Woods of the night, and representing Professor Vincent Falia, Oluwasola will be presenting her speech titled, "It Begins With You and Me." Let's give it up for Oluwasola.
They say pain changes you. I bet that's true. When I was 10, I wanted to be a lawyer because I felt that was my way to avoid math. I never liked it. When I was 14, I still wanted to be a lawyer, but it was because of the black and white outfit. I found it to be very classy. But now my reasons have changed. Pain, growth, and the outcome of conflict, after losing 2 siblings in the hands of something that could be avoided, has changed me. But their memories drive me to seek peace, not just for myself, but for every single person who has had to feel a sting of its outcome. I know firsthand the weight of loss that can be caused by it. And that's why my vision is for peace to reign. Living my life by the words of Thomas Crumb that says, the quality of our lives does not depend whether or not we do have conflicts. It's how we choose to respond to them. So what's the problem? Well, in a world where everyone is constantly seeking to be heard and to be seen, disagreement tends to happen. And when we focus too much on what is wrong, we miss out on what is good. That's why today I want to talk about something that affects us all at different levels of our lives, even as kids. Conflict. You know, we all have different narratives of what conflict means. But Karl Marx defined it as a dynamic force, one that is driven by our differences in actions, in viewpoints, and in opinions. Conflict is everywhere. In fact, it is part of being human. It happens between everyone. It happens between siblings. As myself and my twin, we are constantly in disagreement on who will do the dishes. That's the simple definition of conflict. It happens between partners in relationship, between colleagues at workplaces. It happens even in traffic. And on a larger scale, it happens between nations of the world as we see war breaking out every single day. But conflict doesn't necessarily mean the physical actions. Sometimes it's just one word. So what are some of the causes of conflict? Well, according to the National Institute of Health, one of the major causes of conflict is lack of education on communication and listening skills. In fact, an Harvard Business Review has shown that 65% of conflict is caused by lack of communication. You know, let's think of conflict as a traffic light at a critical traffic intersection. The driver of this vehicle knows fully well that stopping at this traffic light had a very high tendency of not causing any havoc on the road, but still it dams the consequences. See, it's not that we don't see the solution. It's that we don't even see the problem as an issue that needs to be resolved. But there's a good news. There's a table that we all must meet when conflict arises. And you're probably wondering where the table is. I'll save you the suspense. But first, please do me the favor of closing your eyes if you may. That table is in you. That table is at that point when you're ready to open your heart, to see the differences in people, to tolerate them and to appreciate them. That's where the table is. And that table can also be structured by the educational system. And the first thing we need to do is to strike out the problem and look forward to the solution by self-introspecting, looking into ourselves instead of always complaining about people. Like I said, it's not that we don't see the solution, it's that we don't even see the problem. So the first thing we need to do is to be able to identify the problem. Schools should be able to implement policies to help with the student identify this problem. And the next step, we need to be able to clearly communicate. So many times when there's a broken relationship or friendship, there's always this constant theme of, well, she wasn't communicating too well, well, she wasn't clear enough. But do we ever look at the other aspect? Are we ever ready to listen? Not just listening, but empathetically listening, holding up a mirror to help you see why the person is making that decision they're making. And if you feel like clear communication is not we are humans, it's not easy. Some people just don't want to hear. There's still a solution. Teaching compromise. Instead of always aiming for absolute victory, sometimes the situation arises for us to meet in the middle. Let it be a win-win for both parties. And if you feel like that's still not the solution, there's still something else we can do. Mediation. Like in the case of my twin brother and I, who are always in disagreement on who will do the dishes. I call my mom, Mom, Sonny doesn't want to do the dishes. He calls my dad. That's us finding a neutral party to reach a constructive dialogue. And I know in the case of dishes, that's very simple compared to like life issues, but that's the foundation that we have to lay. So what's the policy I'm standing for? Let's build an educational system that put we, the student, at the forefront of peace. Give us these tools, give us this education. We're already the solution. Let's train teachers and professors to guide through tough conversations and not to avoid them. Imagine if we were trained not just in calculus and finite math, and I'm not justifying my unlikeness for it, but imagine if we were not just trained in that, or in conflict resolution. Imagine if empathy was as valued as our GPA. If only the world leaders would pay attention to all this. Maybe the millions of lives lost every single day in the hands of conflict would still be alive today. But all that's in the past. We can't change it, can we? But we can choose to shape the future. And not with machine guns and rifles and AK-47, but with our words. With education, a path, a way to peace. But that only begins with you and me. So what's the way forward? Please scan this QR code to access the school conflict resolution websites. Let's act today to make conflict resolution a reality and not just another speech this girl is making at the 108th speech night today. I've seen how silence and pride can make us blind. I've seen how battles leave scars behind. But what if we just sought to make things right? No judge, no gavel, no winner, no loss. Just hands unclenched and lines uncrossed. With education, a path, a way to peace. In schools and the educational system. But most importantly, that begins with you in front here, with you in the middle, with you up there beside you. It begins with those backstage. It begins with you all. And me. My name is Lasake Luashala. Thank you.
Our sixth contestant of the night is Alicia Beeman Griffey. Alicia is a freshman majoring in pre-diagnostic sonography, the very cool medical form of photography. Her next goal, applying to medical school. When she's not studying, you can find Alicia doing hair or curled up with a good book. A fun fact about Alicia, she is married, a mother of 2, and she loves to travel. Talk about a packed schedule. But even with everything on her plate, Alicia made time to share her speech with us tonight. Representing Professor Emmanuel Asare, Alicia will be delivering her speech, titled CPS is Failing Our Children. Let's give it up for Alicia.
Hello, everyone. Child Protective Services is failing our children. Imagine a system meant to protect our children, actually putting them in harm's way. Instead of being a shield, becomes a sword. Whether it's a sibling, a classmate, or one day even your own child, anyone can be affected by Child Protective Services. I've witnessed the impact of CPS's decisions on a personal, close friend of mine, and I feel a responsibility to speak up. Child Protective Services is failing our children by removing kids from loving homes and keeping other and dangerous ones, all because of systemic flaws and poor investigation. By pushing reform, employing eligible social workers, lightening the caseload, and providing an abundance of resources, I believe that we can help create a better tomorrow. CPS is a program put in place meant to protect children from abuse and neglect and to help families improve their quality of life. But it often does the opposite. The question that I raise today is why? Why is there a disconnect in the system? Why are some children moved from their loving homes and placed into dangerous situations, and while others are left in abusive homes when they clearly need the help? This disconnect comes from poor investigation and lack of resources provided by social workers before their first court appearance, which in turn result in separation of families. According to Johnson & Johnson law, that is the most frequent mistake made by social workers. In 2019, a personal close friend of mine experienced a heartbreaking loss at the hands of Child Protective Services. For protective reasons, I'm going to name this friend Ann. Ann, shortly after giving birth, she realized that she had now had an open CPS case, not because of her own mistakes, but because the father of her child left an illegal substance in the crook of the visitor's couch. So another individual's mistake put Ann's parental rights at risk. About 5 months later, Ann's baby was removed from her care, but not because she was abusive, but because Ann lived in foster care herself and didn't have what CPS deemed as a stable environment. Well, the baby was then placed into the same home as the people that made the open CPS case possible. A month later, the baby died of asphyxiation in their care. This should have never happened. Just because a parent doesn't have what you may deem a stable environment doesn't mean that a parent is not fit to protect, to care, and to love for that child. Second, CPS did not do a proper investigation. If they had, they would have known that that home had a previous history of child abuse. CPS also fails to act when children are in immense danger. According to an article, a Syracuse article, in Oswego, New York, there was a mom and her 2 boys. The mom, she locked herself in a home and set the home on fire. While the oldest son managed to escape, unfortunately, the fire took the lives of the mom and the younger son. Well, you may ask, how was this CPS's failure? Well, I'll tell you. In less than a year, at least 8 different people in 2 states documented and reported signs of abuse and neglect that took place in this home. The children were no longer going to school, piles of trash was piling up around the house, and their living conditions continued to get worse. While some CPS cases were open, they were quickly shut down because they couldn't manage the caseload. Well, we see what the result was. Child Protective Services is failing our children. But what can we do to fix this? How can we fix this broken system? I say by pushing social services reform. In the state of Indiana alone, per 1 caseworker, there are said to be 144 cases assigned to 1 individual caseworker. That is how, Ann's baby was able to pass away, because she didn't have enough time to put the research behind to see where this child was being placed. That's also how the 2 boys in Oswego, New York, end up, passing away. Well, 1 passed away while the other was able to save his life, but 2 lives were lost in that fire due to poor investigation. Imagine a system, where changes are made and changes are had, and, social workers are able to take enough time to put forth the investigation. They're able to give families resources. They're able to provide homes to Ann's mom, or they're able to, give counseling services to moms and to parents that need the help. I say prevention is the priority. I feel like we are all called to act. We all have a responsibility, to act. We can call the mayor's line. We can email. Just 1 phone call, 1 email can help change and give our children a better chance at a better life and a better future, while keeping families together and while taking children out of their dangerous, abusive homes and placing them with someone that can love and care for them. Thank you.
All right, we have 10 more speeches for tonight. No, I'm just kidding. That would be pretty great, right, guys? In all seriousness, we have our 7th contestant of the night, who last but certainly not least is Jacob Smith. Jacob is a freshman who is majoring in accounting and minoring in Spanish. After graduating, Jacob wants to get his CPA to become a certified public accountant. In his free time, Jacob loves to talk with his friends. A fun fact, he loves Lady Gaga. So, with no poker face and representing Dr. Angela Sisson, Jacob will be presenting his speech, Raising Indiana's Minimum Wage. Let's give it up for Jacob.
Hello, everyone. Since you stayed all night to hear what I have to say, I'm going to offer each and every single one of you a job. This job comes with many of the things that somebody would want when job searching. It's close to where you live, it provides you with flexible hours, and you can even take off holidays of your choice. And now, you guys are probably sitting here thinking, this is a great job opportunity, and maybe even is once in a blue moon. But there's one thing I didn't tell any of you. This job will only pay you $7.25 because that's all I legally have to pay you. Will any of you still take the job? According to the National Center for Education Statistics, about 57% of college students, both part and full-time, have a job while simultaneously working towards their degree. Meaning about half of you guys in this room have a job. Now, job searching for me has been a long process. I would either find a job that provided me with the wage that I liked and get rejected, or find job offers that offered so close to minimum wage it wouldn't seem worth it because I wouldn't be able to pay my car insurance. Indiana has an unnecessarily low minimum wage compared to many other states. Raising Indiana's minimum wage to $13 would take off much of the financial burden from people like us college students, single parents, or just other adults trying to get by without having to work multiple jobs. Indiana has the same minimum wage that was set by the federal government. The 2009 $7.25 minimum wage is less than half of the livable wage in Indiana. According to this graph, 16 years ago, the value of minimum wage was much higher than it is today. Because products and services continue to get more expensive, especially after COVID, and the cost of living and inflation has risen significantly. According to SoFi, an American personal finance company, the average cost of living in Indiana is $49,527. But the minimum wage salary in Indiana is only $15,080. The minimum wage being less than 1/3 of living is absurd. This would mean that for somebody with no children, would have, in order to survive with just basic necessities, so food and clothing and housing, would need to work at least 3 jobs to support themselves. Indiana Senate Democrats, in an article talking about how Indiana lags behind many states, stated how about 25% of Indiana residents make less than $15 an hour. While talks of a minimum wage increase have taken place across the country, it is still yet to matter to the federal government. C-SPAN, a broadcasting company that reports on the federal government, recorded a Senate confirmation hearing in January of 2025. During this confirmation hearing, Senator Bernie Sanders asked nominee for Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, if there was an interest for raising federal minimum wage. And he responded with a firm no, and that it was a state problem. And this is why minimum wage is a problem Indiana can fix, because the federal government does not find it important. This concept of a low minimum wage is a major problem currently, but I'm here today to present a solution so that every Hoosier can live well. The solution is to raise minimum wage to $13 an hour through new legislation, because the minimum wage should be almost the livable wage in Indiana. This would follow suit with many other states in the United States. As previously mentioned, about 30 other states in the country have already raised their minimum wage, according to IBAS World, which is a research company that reports on economics and demographics. $13 an hour may seem ambitious, considering it's almost double the current minimum wage that our state has set. However, it's not even near the highest in the country. According to minimumwage.com, that is held by Washington, D.C., was $17.50 as their minimum wage. According to this map, These are the current minimum wages as of February 21st, 2025. Every single light blue state has yet to make a change, including Indiana. This also wouldn't be the first time that legislation like this would be introduced in Indiana. Many bills, including one introduced by Indiana Senator Eddie Melton, would immediately raise the minimum wage to $12 an hour and increase the minimum wage by $1 for the following 2 years to make the minimum wage $14 an hour to combat the rising cost of living. To roll out my plan, the legislation would look like his. It would immediately raise the minimum wage to $13 an hour and increase the minimum wage according to the cost of living crisis. And though this may seem like too much for Indiana, like I said, it's not ambitious, it's been introduced before, and it is Indiana's problem. It's estimated that an increase in minimum wage would decrease the amount of people below the poverty line. According to JB Maverick from Investopedia, this would include less people relying on government services like SNAP or Medicaid. It would also mean that nonprofits like food banks would be able to feed people without having to worry about, are they going to have enough donor money to supply all of this food? It will also boost consumer spending for all businesses because I don't know if it's just me, but when I have money, I tend to spend it. This would also allow for a big boost in local and state economies. Increasing the minimum wage would also boost employee morale, which would ease the workload on employers of hiring and training new employees. Because when employees are paid well, they tend to stay at their job more than having to look for other jobs to support themselves. And now, you all may be sitting here thinking, how in the world do we get this legislation through? Finding your local representatives is easy. I know all of you guys have phones and computers, so if you pull up Google, you can find a website by the Indiana General Assembly where you can type in your address, your zip code, anywhere in Indiana, and it will find you your state senator and your state representative. So, for example, if you live on campus, your state senator is Andrea Hunley and your state representative is Justin Mode. Contact them. The only way to get legislation to pass is if we bother them, because if we don't make it seem like a problem, they won't think it's a problem. And now, after this, I really hope all of you can show support for changing Indiana's minimum wage and make all Hoosiers able to survive with their paycheck. Thank you.
What a wonderful group of speakers we had tonight. Let's give them all another round of applause. As we begin the voting portion of our speech contest tonight, we want to remind you to rank all contestants 1 to 7 and to use the QR code that is in your event agenda sheet on the screen. Or not yet. While the votes continue to come in, we'll tally them up. So please tally your votes. Get a picture of your judging sheet. You'll need to upload that for your class. Then use the QR code voting link and submit your vote. Be sure to take a screenshot showing your vote as well. You'll need to upload that to your class site. While you work on that, we have not one, but 2 special guests for you. First will be IU Indianapolis's upcoming commencement speaker. After her will be a dance group, Daor Jawanidi. Let's start with London Akoa, who will be the IU Indianapolis commencement speaker this spring. London will soon graduate from the Kelley School of Business, double majoring in Human Resource Management and Business Management, with a minor in Communication Studies. She has been named to the Dean's List 6 times and was recently recognized as a scholarship recipient at the Curtis Memorial Oratorical Contest. Let's give it up for London.
Good evening, everyone. No, we're gonna have to do better than that. Good evening, everyone. All right. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So I know it's late, so hopefully when we all leave here, Chick-fil-A will still be open, hopefully. Fingers crossed. This is my commencement speech. Good evening, esteemed faculty, Dear family, friends, and to my fellow graduates, as I stand before you today, I'm filled with a profound sense of gratitude and awe. This moment is the culmination of stories we have each carried with us, stories of resilience, of overcoming doubts, and of growing in ways we never imagined possible. Out of life's school of war, that which does not kill me serves to make me stronger. Nietzsche. I'd like to begin with a confession. When I first arrived here, I was terrified, not just of the social challenges, but of the feelings that perhaps I wasn't meant to be here. I started IU Indianapolis at 17 years old, and I had no clue who I was. I thought that maybe I wasn't smart enough, driven enough, or worthy enough of this opportunity, when so many people I knew didn't get the chance. I remember crying in my dorm room night after night, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of this place, and asking myself, what am I doing here? I don't fit in. I'm younger than everyone else. I feel alone. I feel lost. But as we all know, there's a particular kind of magic that happens when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, far more often than you believe in yourself. And that's what IU Indianapolis has given me. Professors, mentors, and friends who believed in me, pushed me to rise even when I doubted my own ability to stand. IU Indy gave me more than an education. It gave me a community. I can't help but think of one person who made an enormous impact on my journey, Dr. Corey Clark. He took the time to sit with me, to remind me that the challenges I was facing were not reflections of my inadequacy, but simply part of the growth process. At my lowest moment, he reminded me, the difference between those who walk across that stage and those who don't is perseverance. And isn't that the truth? The world does not measure us by the moments in which we feel strong, but how we push forward when we feel weak. As we stand here today on the edge of a new chapter, I want to remind us all of something vital. The path to success is not always linear. There is no one right way, no one perfect journey. Some of us have made straight A's, and some of us have stumbled. Some of us have walked in with confidence, and others like me walked in with uncertainty. But what matters is that we continue to walk, but we didn't do it alone. This moment belongs to the unsung heroes, many of whom are here today, as much as it belongs to us. Let us celebrate them now. One of those people for me was my mother. She's often expressed to me, you can't get out of life alive. Her message gave me the courage to own my worth, to step into my purpose, and to rewrite the narrative of my own life. I stand before you representing our class, not merely as a graduate, but as a testament of what is possible when resilience meets opportunity, when you refuse to accept limitations and instead dare to believe that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. But let us not forget, the greatest gift that you can offer humanity is your belief in others. In a time where fear is wielded to overshadow hope, and when far too many are told they do not belong, the world needs people willing to stand in the gap. It needs mentors who will guide, friends who will uplift, and leaders who will see the potential in others when they cannot see them for themselves. It needs those who remind the weary that their dreams are worth fighting for and that their voices matter. It needs you. If we hope to build a more perfect union, we must first have the courage to believe in the promise of each other. We are the sum of every lesson, every failure, every heartbreak, and every triumph that has led us to this point. And yet, the sum doesn't define us. Our path and our purpose are ours to forge. The past is yours to learn from. The present is yours to treasure, and the future is yours to mold. So to my fellow graduates, we have everything we need to succeed. While graduation was always the goal, it was the journey that had truly transformed us, not the destination. We have the wisdom, we have the strength, we have the perseverance to face whatever challenges lie ahead. But more importantly, we have each other. We have learned that success is not measured by achievements alone, but how we rise after we fall and how we lift others as we rise. The community we built here, whether in the classroom, on the sports field, or even through late night conversations, is a foundation that will continue to sustain us. And no matter where we go from here, we will carry that community with us. And with that, congratulations to the first class of IU Indianapolis 2025. We made it. Thank you.
Thank you, London. It's great to have a preview of your speech. And it's early, but happy graduation to you. As for most of us here, graduation is still a few classes away. As you finish voting, don't forget the screenshots that you need for your class. Before we are ready to identify our evening's top prize winners, we have a super exciting performance that will bring vibrant energy to the stage. Please get ready to welcome Tor Jawani Di, a traditional Punjabi Bhangra and Gidda folk dance team. Tor Jawani Di brings the heart and soul of Punjab right here, featuring the lively beats of Bhangra and the graceful movements of Gidda. This team celebrates the culture and traditions of Punjab, blending rhythm, energy, and pride in every step. Led by their captain, the talented Suhina Singh, this performance promises to leave you energized and uplifted. In case you didn't know, Suhina is finishing up a semester in R110 herself, courtesy of Professor Matthew De Janeiro. So get ready to feel the beats, the passion, and the flair of Bollywood. You might even catch a bit of Shah Rukh Khan's charm in their moves. Let's give it up for Tor Jawani Di.
Hey guys, did you hear about that event that's happening at IUI on the 28th?
Yeah, I have. Hanji, main bhi sunya. Guys, we should low-key pull up.
Yeah, let's make sure we let the other girls know though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's all fair. Let's go.
Let me explain something. Every time you hear my voice, I'm thinking about Rushmore. There's only a couple of spots available. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to the stage the one, the only, about to drop.
Yeah, we are. What about it?
Let's show them real dance.
I'll show you guys real dance. It's all fair.
Let's go!
Another day around the way. Check it.
माहौल मेरा देखा पिक्चर में ना तेरे चेक कर ले प्लान मेरा बैठा करता चलाई बैठा दुनिया भलाई सच तेरे पीछे बोलिए टोन भलाई नवी कुड़ियां चढ़ाई दे चल
Guys, that's enough. Yeah, guys, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਗਿੱਧਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Let's show them what ਗਿੱਧਾ looks like.
Yeah, plus we're here representing Punjab, and being Punjabi means our dances are both Bhangra and Giddha.
Chal, I guess you guys are right. Let's show everyone what Dora Jalani is really about.
Round one.
24/7, 365. It's us, never them, never them, never them. Always outside, never inside. Us man run this shit, them man can never catch up. We all got this block on lock. We all got this block on lock. Yeah, baby.
Okay, thank you. What a great performance. Can we give them another round of applause? Okay, so the votes are in, and let's welcome Salsabil back to announce our winners.
I'm still trying to calm down after that performance. That was so good. So thank you guys for joining us this evening. Tonight, our Speakers Lab supervisors, Emma Adams and Marisa Musa, will be presenting the awards. If we could please have one more round of applause as all of our contestants and their instructors come out to the stage. Let's give them another round of applause. I'm going to start by announcing tonight's third place finalist, Tina Oyatobo. Second place goes to Chelsea Moran. And our 108th IU Indianapolis Communication Studies Speech Competition winner of the night is Oluwasola Lasaki. Thank you all for supporting our contestants in tonight's event, and thank you for everyone involved in making this event happen tonight, from our wonderful Speakers Lab crew to the Department of Communication Studies, and from each instructor who offered coaching and guidance to each of you for working on important communication skills with them. Be safe as you leave, and please do upload your photos for tonight. Have a good night, everyone.